Shalom and welcome to the weekend edition of the Daily Dose of Hebrew. Today we're finishing up Jeremiah chapter 4. It's been a long chapter where the Lord has, through the prophet Jeremiah, spoken a long series of judgments, chastening judgments against his very stubborn people. And in this verse where we're going to wind up, we're going to hear a deep cry of despair coming from the city of Jerusalem itself as it speaks. Let's go ahead and read the verse in Hebrew as we get started. כי קול כחולה שמעתי, צרה כמבקירה, קול בת ציון תתייפח, תפרס כפיה, אוי נא לי, כי עייפה נפשי לחורגים. Well, we start with the conjunction for. This is the reason, the cause, because a voice or sound like, is a preposition, hola. Now, what is this? Well, this is going to be a participle. It's a feminine singular participle. That's why I have this a ending on it. It's going to be a cow from the verb hul, which is a verb which usually means to twist or to writhe, and very frequently associated with the idea of writhing in the birth pangs in the process of giving birth. So here it's being used as a substantive, like I hear the voice or the sound of a woman giving birth, being used in that way for hul, writhing in anguish, in other words. And this is what I have heard. This is just a perfect first common singular, cow from Shema. Distress, like, now here, what do we have here? Well, we have another participle and another feminine singular participle. This time it's going to be a hifil. And you can tell that because we have this ma with the pathak prefix here. You have a hierarchical in the middle, and it's from a root which you probably know, bakar. You may know the word bakor, which means firstborn. This verb is frequently found in the PL, which means to give birth for the first time. And here it's being used as a substantive. Again, a woman who is giving birth for the first time. So it's the distress of a young mother having her first child. So, which is of course more anguish involved with it usually than a woman who's already given birth to several children. So this is a very, very strong image here. The sound or the voice of the daughter of Zion, tityapeach. Well, what we have here, this is going to be an imperfect, because we have tau, actually a tith performative, nothing at the end. But the tith performative is going to be either a 2ms or a 3fs, and in this context it's a 3fs, and it's a hithpael with this tith prefix from a verb yafak, which you have right there. Now this is a hapax, meaning this is the only time in the Old Testament we find this verb being used like this. And it means to gasp, to pant, to gasp for breath. So it's a very extreme, very image-laden verb here. And obviously that's why we have this reflexive idea. She is gasping for breath, the daughter of Zion. And tifares is once again, it's an imperfect. It's going to be a 3fs. This time it's going to be a pl, because you see this schwa, which is here. We usually have a doubling of the second consonant, but we can't do that, so we lengthen the pathak into a full comets here from the verb paras, which means to spread out or to stretch out. And in this case, she is stretching out her palms. This is the word kaf, usually written like this, which some translations use the word hands, but it's more literally the palm of the hand. So you see these open hands which are stretched out, and this is with a 3fs suffix on it. This isn't really a plural, it's actually a double because we have two palms, two hands, so two palms. So she has stretched out her palms, obviously in writhing and in anguish, calling for help. And woe, woe, please to me. So this particle of supplication, which is reinforcing this, woe, please to me, because my soul, nafshi, this is nefesh, soul with the pronoun suffix on it, first common singular, my soul fails, or is failing, or is fainting. This is a perfect. This is a 3FS because the subject is nafshi, which is feminine. And this is a kal from the verb if, like this, and which means to faint or to fail. And then for horgim, you see this O here. This is going to be a participle. It's going to be a masculine plural with the im ending on it, a kal from the verb harag. You may have learned that in your paradigms when you first studied Hebrew. Harag, which means to kill. So hard to know exactly how to translate the lamed. Is it because of the killers, for the killers, before the killers with a locative sense, or just in this imagery because of all that's going on, all these murderers that are coming in as they assail the city. So we see the distress of the city of Zion as it calls out. It's a very strong ending to this chapter, which is full of very strong images overall. Let's go ahead and hide our work here. We'll squeeze our text down just a little bit, and we'll look at a couple of translations. First of all, in the Tanakh, the Jewish Publication Society, 1985, I hear a voice as of one in travail. So I hear over here the sound or the voice like a woman in labor. Anguish as of a woman bearing her first child. The distress like a woman bearing her first child. Very literal translation there, very good though. The voice of fair Zion, the daughter of Zion. It's this idea of beauty that's involved with the daughter of Zion. Fair Zion panting. That's a good translation for this verb here, yafak. Stretching out her hands. Alas for me. I faint. Literally, it's my soul faints, but I faint before the killers. So pretty straightforward and yet very dramatic translation. The Net Bible expands it just a little bit more. In fact, for, again developing as you're following from the previous verses, I hear a cry like that of a woman in labor. Okay, that's okay. A cry of anguish like that of a woman giving birth to her first baby. So that's quite developed, but it's very much the idea that's involved here. It is the cry of daughter Zion, almost as a title here, gasping for breath. That's a good translation again for this word here. Reaching out, stretching out her palms, but they put in the more specifically for help. Now that's not directly in the text, but it certainly is involved with the idea, either stretching out her hands for help, or maybe just in an expression of distress, saying, "I am done in, for woe to me, I am done in. My life is ebbing away." That's pretty good idea of this fainting away, ebbing away before these murderers. So they've given a little bit of a locative sense, maybe a temporal sense as well, before these murderers, because they're coming into the city as well. The Lord has given this very clear image of the judgment which is coming upon his people because of their stubbornness, and yet he doesn't do that willingly. As he repeats over and over, he would much prefer that his people listen to him and turn and repent with that great verb shuv, which Jeremiah is going to use over and over and over throughout his book. And we will start seeing some of that as he calls his people back in the following verses. So check back with us soon as we begin working through chapter 5 in the weekend edition of the Daily Dose of Hebrew. Shalom.